Pretty neat. All right. You what? I know. That's pretty neat. All right. Well, I think it's official. The live stream should be live. So we are good to get started here. Welcome to our all-church meeting for 2026. And I will just start out by saying that this meeting is going to share a little bit about kind of where we've been this last year and some of the highlights and things to celebrate. It's going to talk a little bit about this year and the how things went this year and how things are going to go in 2026 with budget and with the ballot for leadership. And we'll vote on those. And then we're also going to just look ahead a little bit and just where we're headed and pray for that and where God has us moving this year ahead as a church family. And so I think it kind of makes sense. I know this was a little bit further down in my agenda, but I think it makes sense to start with celebrating just this past year and where we've been. And so I just wanted to list a few things for us from this past year that I think are really significant and things that whether we were a part of them or not, it's really neat to see that we came together as a church, and I'm sure different people played roles in each of these different things, and because of that, we're looking back at those things and able to celebrate them. So, for instance, our food pantry, we saw God's provision for usually somewhere between 60 to 70 families every single month. And just want to say thank you so much for those who have served on that, because we actually went from just having it 1 day a month this year to having it 2 days a month. And what an amazing thing it has also been to see that ministry and the amount of volunteers grow to where I don't think we've had any problems staffing both times in the month. And so that, I just want to, can we clap for each one of these things? I think that's because so many people in our community get a benefit from the food pantry. Another thing is the new growth in the congregation and the 9 baptisms that we've had this year, and it's just really neat to be able to see those. So I think we should clap for that too. We also, maybe I'll rattle off the next couple and then we'll clap, but we put together a new church directory this year. We had an all-church camp out this year that was a huge success, and a third of our people camped, and then we had 2/3 of our people that actually came to the potluck, and so that was really neat. And then we also did a church cleanup day and a few cemetery work days where we just had a massive response of people. If you came to that, over 20 people that came to our church cleaning day, and we've probably had at least almost a dozen or so people show up for the cemetery work days. And so I just want everybody to clap for that, or all those things. And last, I want to just mention the church kitchen that got updated this year. And yeah, I'm sure all of us have seen that and whatnot. So there's just a lot of things that have happened this previous year, and I'm just really excited for where we are moving and that we are coming to a healthy place as a church. And it's just really exciting to see even some new people and new faces, even since I got here to this church. And I know that Chris and I and my family have only been here for about 2.5 years now, but it's like, whoa, 2.5 years. And just to see how faithful God has been. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of you calling Trinity Community Church home, and just for all that you do to so faithfully help this church be everything that it is, not only for the people who attend here, but also just for the people in our community. So let's go ahead and we're going to move forward a little bit to this year. And so I think a good place to start would just be looking at the budget, not only from the 2025 year, but the 2026 year, where we're headed. and Bruce is gonna present the budget, answer any questions, and then we're gonna vote on that. So Bruce, come on up.
Before I talk about the budget, I want to mention, you've probably noticed in the bulletins, we usually have down the bottom what our income is and what our expenses are, kind of running through the year. And our offerings have really improved this year from last year. I mean, we got about another $15,000. And so I really appreciate that, since I tend to kind of spend the money and try and save what I can save. But in August and September, when we worked on the kitchen, those expenses in the kitchen didn't reflect in the bulletin, because those are capital improvements and were funded in another way for items like that. So things that we have done in the past, like put in the ductless heat pump for the air conditioning and the heating in the foyer, that was a capital improvement. The kitchen, of course, was a capital improvement, and that really turned out very nice. Krista really did a good job. She really did. So on our budget, on the left is our actual expenses for the 2025 year. Todd, one of our trustees, he really runs a good check on me to make sure that I don't overspend with what was budgeted. And he tracks all the expenses, and so it really helps out when we budget for the next year, what we're working with. On the right-hand side is our budget for 2026. Many items we're carrying just about the same amount as what we spent in 25. There are a few exceptions, and I'll just kind of highlight those. In that top category, third item down for health insurance. The health insurance for Michael and his family has gone up from last year to this year, which I think a lot of people understand that insurance companies are having some increases. We also found that to be true with liability and fire insurance for the building, which is kind of down in that third category where it says utilities and maintenance. Our insurance went up, looks like about just shy of $600 for the year, from $7,500 to $8,100. Now there's items like building repair, just right below the insurance part, where our expenses for last year was $4,600 and we budgeted $6,000. Now, one of the reasons was we just recently had a break-in, which I think pretty much everybody realizes. We got the kitchen door replaced. We got the window area replaced in the food pantry, and so there's some expenses there that really fall into this year. So that's why we allowed a little bit more to cover that. Let's see, yard and janitorial, which is in that same category just below those two items that I talked about. We spent $2,100 on like yard and janitorial. This next year we're budgeting $6,000. Huh? 4,000, thank you. The reason for that is the Riding Mower might need some tune-up, where we take it to Starks over in Sherwood, and they tune it up, sharpen the blades, sometimes replace like air filters and the rubber belt that actually gets the cutters going. If there's any items that I didn't mention that looked a little alarming, be sure and let me know. On the second page, I think about the fourth item down, local ministries. This is where we give financial support to like the homeless shelter, Good Neighbor Center on Greenberg, like Crisis Pregnancy Center, Portland Rescue Mission. we used to budget $3,500 and we used to pay that. We cut that back a couple of years ago when we were, I'm gonna say, kind of cutting some expenses. And I kind of wanted to kind of slowly bring back where we used to fund these other agencies, especially dealing with the homeless, since it's kind of moving from the Portland area to the Tigard area. I really appreciate the work that Good Neighbor Center does. There's another one here in the Tigard area that we don't support, but yeah. Just Compassion. Good Neighbor Center does a little bit more than just house the homeless. They actually try and get them connected back to families, help them get jobs, to where they can kind of get into an apartment and kind of get back on their feet. So I really have an appreciation for them. So overall, our expenses are going to go up between last year and this year, and that's just kind of a given fact. We're not going to spend money that we don't have. We just do the best we can. We do have a capital improvement project which is going to occur, I believe, in February, where we're replacing some of the windows. Some of the old windows that we have are aluminum frame with not a good thermal pane glass in there. So we get a lot of heat loss in that. We already have money set aside for that and it goes into designated funds. So when we get capital improvement money, it goes into a designated fund to use for items like that. Don? Yes, yeah. In 2025, we spent about $22,000 on the kitchen. We have money that we've already collected that we haven't spent for the windows part. And that's in a designated fund. When people give money designated for a certain thing, whether it's like the food pantry, whether it's for benevolence, that's set aside so it's used just for that purpose. So we don't kind of lump everything in like a general fund. Yeah. Anybody have any questions? Uh-huh. We're getting a new copier in the office. It hasn't been delivered yet, has it?
No, it should be this next week.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it's going to be delivered Friday, but I guess things get behind a little bit. So yeah, that's to cover the new copier and then the maintenance program that we're going to have on it. Good question, so. Sometimes I know everything related to spending money, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody else knows. So I'm glad you brought that up.
If there's more questions, we can field. If there's more questions, we can field them. Otherwise, I think we were going to move to. I was going to ask, would someone like to make a motion to vote on and accept the 2026 budget? So, but unless there's more questions. Sure, yeah, go for it.
No, I know we have thought about it, but it hasn't really been discussed to the point of finding out how much it would cost and actually doing it. I know it's something that people are kind of concerned about, especially after we fixed up the kitchen. As nice as it is, it'd be nice to have the floor outside the kitchen look.
Anybody on the live stream, we're talking about carpet. Carpet for the live stream.
Yeah. I imagine in the council we'll be talking about things like that, but it hasn't really gotten to that point yet. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
this is more of just a basic church operation expense. Yeah.
Would someone like to make a motion to vote on to accept the 2026 budget?
I'll make a motion to accept it.
All right, and do we have a second? I second. All right, I figured since we're a small enough group, we could just vote, I guess, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, I think the motion carries. So thank you, Bruce. I didn't mention Bruce is our church treasurer, which is why he's up here explaining the budget and doing all of that. And so if at any point in the year you have any questions, either he would be a person that you could go to, or on the leadership list that you're going to see, the council would be another place that you could go to. And so in just a little bit, I'll try to have anybody who's going to be on the council stand up here just so you can see who they are. But those would also be other people that you could go to and talk to if you have any questions about just the financial things or the budget or anything like that. But that's the budget for 2026. And then the other thing that we wanted to make sure to bring before your attention and vote on today is just the different committees for 2026. And pretty much all of these committees are set up to be for a year term and then to be reelected the following year. And so I can just go through and explain a couple of what these committees do, and then also just have the people who are in those committees stand. So first off, we have our council, which acts as our leadership team. If you've been a part of a church before with either a board or elders, this is our leadership team that helps make all the leadership decisions at the church. And so the people who are going to be serving on that for this year: Cindy Johnson, Lois Odding, Bruce Pearson, Pat Pearson, Chris Pierce, Renee Scanlon, and Robin Tippie. If you are in the room and you would be willing to stand so we can see who you are, these are going to be, well, if you elect them, your council members to help lead the church forward this year ahead. And what's been really neat is that the hope and the goal has been, we want to see new people on the council, and I know there have been some people that have been on the council for a while, but we didn't just want to have everybody go off at the same time. So we've actually been trying each year to get one or two new people on the council, and so I'm really excited for Renee to be stepping on, and also for Cindy Johnson to be stepping on. But that's our hope, is maybe next year we might phase a couple more people off and maybe bring one or two more on. So if maybe just be praying and thinking about that, whether you are a member or whether you're thinking about being a member. I think there's a couple of committees where they want you to be a member for a year, and I think one of those is the council, and then the other is the PPRC, and then I don't know if the trustees says that or not, but those are kind of we want to see some longevity before we bring you on to those committees. The PPRC, which is the next committee, is our Pastor Parish Relations Committee, and it functions, so the council meets monthly to talk about things. The PPRC is more as needed. It's usually like quarterly, but it's mainly for just things that pertain to, employees or things at the church regarding the pastor or pastors, if you're at a larger church, or anybody you have on staff. They kind of help with just compensation or just different things related to making sure things are operating correctly. It also is for being there for the church. If the church has things that maybe they need to discuss, it could be something that they're wondering, or feel maybe they're getting bent out of shape about. It's a place for them to come to be able to talk it through and to make sure we're not just sweeping things under the rug and, getting disunity in our church and our body. And so that also would mean, like, if there's something between congregation and the pastor, that this would kind of be that group, that committee that would help to kind of work through those things. And so the people that are going to be on that committee are Lois Otting and Bruce Pearson and Chris Pierce and Robin Tippie and Joy Wegner. And so if you guys would be willing to stand. And I'm very excited to welcome on Joy, because Joy's coming on new to that. And also, again, we are trying to think. Oh, Chris, you're coming on to that committee for the first time. But again, we're trying to begin to phase, those over the next year or two. So just be thinking about if that might be something that you'd be willing to be a part of, because we need good unity in the church, and we also just need people who are thinking about making sure we're doing things well for the pastors and for the church body as a whole. So the other leadership committee is trustees, and that's just kind of a word that means anything around the facilities that needs to be fixed. So these are people, not that these are the only people that we can call on. Obviously, we call upon a lot of people, but these are just the people who are saying in more of a formal way, I'm willing to be a part of this team, and I'm willing to help as things come up around the church. And so we've got Todd Hess, Cliff Johnson, Bruce Pearson, Charles Sheeler, Mike Tippie, and Scott Wagner. If any of you are in the room and you could stand on up. All right. Awesome. Yes, and Scott is going to be new, as well as Cliff Johnson. So, but yeah, we got to make sure that's one of the things I love about Trinity, is that, there's a lot of churches you hear of that just let things like keep going for years and years, and then it's like you've got this $1 million, all these projects that have to be done, and then no money to do it. And what I love is that Trinity just chips away a little bit each year and makes sure that we're not falling behind. And, if it's new windows that we need, or if it's new, heating unit that we need, or whatever it might be, the kitchen this year, that we're trying to chip away at that so that it doesn't all come at us at once. So I appreciate that. So thank you, trustees, for serving. And also, treasurer, Bruce Pearson. You've already been up here, so I'm not going to make you stand. But Candace Murray is going to be slotted to be our financial secretary right here. And so if everything gets voted in, then that's what's going to be. And then also our lay member, so Chris Pierce, we have to have somebody that's on the council that is also the lay member. And they're the ones that go on behalf of the church to our annual conference that's once a year. And that's basically our denominational meeting, because you have to do business at a church level, but you also have to do business at a denominational level. And so we come together as a denomination, all the churches, there's like 50-some churches, once a year. And that's for the Pacific Conference. There's also the Western Conference, which has almost a few less churches, but about that many as well. And they have their annual conference. And so, but each year, those conferences get together to just vote on, different leadership positions, different things that come up, that need to be policies that need to be changed, or just different things that happen in order for a denomination to run and to function. And so Chris is the one that gets to go to those, yay! And he gets to vote on our behalf and just, and make sure that we are in the know on what's going on at the denominational level. So thank you for doing that, Chris. And so I guess, are there any questions about this before we vote on it? All right, then I'm going to do the same thing. And would someone like to make a motion to vote on and accept the 2026 leadership committees? Make a motion. All right, that's Pat. And would somebody be willing to second that? All right, Mike is seconding that. So all in favor of accepting all of these people for our 2026 Trinity leadership for the different committees? Aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. So that will do it for the budget for 2026 and the ballot for 2026. And those positions will run from pretty much February of this year to February of next year. And so welcome to all of the people who are stepping on to leadership, and we're excited for this year ahead. But a couple of things just moving forward for us to anticipate and for us to pray for. The first one would be, you've probably been noticing this focus on corporate prayer this year ahead, and really just wanting to know God's will for our church. And so actually, before we're done here today, we're just going to spend a moment or two just praying all together that God would just continue to lead us in what his will is for us. And, you know, that if there are things that he lays on your heart as we're praying today, please come and share them with me, because we just want to be open to where God's leading us as a church. And I believe that the more that we gather together and the more that we pray together, the more that we're going to see those things come into view, and also the more that we're going to see God's power, and we're going to see God's presence as we're going out and we're just making him known. And so you'll see an emphasis on corporate prayer this year ahead, and we have a couple people that are going to be meeting to go over the prayer surveys and just look at what can we do to make prayer more of a focal point in the months ahead. And so that'll be coming your way. We also have the women's retreat that's happening March 27th through 29th, and I'm sure the church has done women's retreats before, but I think it's been a few years since we've done one, and so this will be happening this March, and I think that's really exciting, because to be able to give women an opportunity to get together and get to know each other better. I'll just put a bug in any guy's ears that I can't necessarily be the one to run the men's ministry, just because I've got a lot of different hats that I wear already, but it would be really neat if there was a guy or maybe a couple. It's going to probably take a couple of guys. It can't just all be on one person. But if there's a few guys that would say, you know what, that would be neat to get together. Maybe just start small. It starts monthly. You know, like we're just going to get together and we're going to go, I don't know, we're going to go shoot something, or we're going to have food together, or we're going to go, I don't know, whatever guys would want to do. But it doesn't have to be like this big, you know, we're going to plan a men's retreat yet. I mean, that could come later potentially, but it could just be, you know, every month or every other month. Let's try to get something together and do something. And if there's anybody that's willing to do that, no pressure. I've always felt in ministries that it's on, God will bring the people when the timing is right. And so I know that. But just want to put that bug in people's ear, because I think that it could be, you know, that some guys could start to feel more connected here at Trinity too if we had something going for men. But the all-church campout will be offered again this summer, June 14th through 16th. Really looking forward to that. It's LL Stubbs Stewart, which is only like 30 or so minutes away from us. And so that'll be really neat to do that, and also to have the potluck there that Sunday evening. So we'll do church, and then everybody will go down. And even if you don't stay the night, you can just come for the potluck, and that is a really neat time to be together as a church family. Off-site, we do a lot of potlucks here, but it's fun to do one somewhere else, and so it'll be neat. We also, I know that a lot of times when you hear about the word evangelism, for a lot of people, we shy away from it, or maybe we have a bad taste in our mouth of it. So I don't necessarily want to call it that, but some kind of training that would be focused on outreach this year, maybe, and how can we be about just living out our lives for God. And so we're thinking and praying about what that could look like. And then also, if you could just be praying for more membership and more baptism opportunities, and for more people to come to know Jesus for the first time this year. And would we all be willing to pray, myself included, like how neat would it be that we could all maybe name one person in the year ahead that we were able to bring to church, or that we were able to have a conversation with, and it led to them coming to know Jesus for the first time. That would be really special. And so I think that's something we can be praying for, and praying that God would lead and guide that and give us the boldness and the bravery and the courage as those opportunities become available. And then we also just want to be praying for God to meet the needs of our church and of the community. And then for home groups to flourish. I'm just really excited for this winter and switching things up a little bit, but we can just be praying for those home groups and for it truly to be a place where we could really connect, not only with one another, but connect with God. And then the last thing I think we can really be praying for is the Pacific Conference vision, or the denomination of, or the vision of our denomination. And so the vision has been growing healthy churches. And obviously, in order to, you first have to be a healthy church. And so we want to make sure churches are healthy. But the second part of this would be planting. Church planting is something that is on the heart of the denomination. And we know that you can't plant a healthy church unless your church is healthy. And so that would be the hope, would be that we'd be growing healthy churches that are then hopefully planting healthy churches. And I don't even know what that would look like in the next 3 or 5 years. If that's even something just for us maybe to start praying about and say, Lord, if you want us as a church to be a planting church, or to partner with a couple other churches in our denomination in the area to plant a church, would you bring it to our attention, and would you fuel it? Because I just think that we would really need his leading in that, of course, but it's something that's on the heart of our denomination, and so it's something that I think that we should be praying about as well. So, but what I would like to do to end our time together today is just to spend some time praying for this year ahead, and just asking also for God to fill us and to speak to us about what that might look like. And so I'm just going to open up this time, and I'm going to pray, but I'm going to be asking that each one of us would also just be listening and just maybe sensing if there's anything that you feel God's saying that we're supposed to focus on, or that we're supposed to maybe seek out this year ahead, or whatever it might be. And if you do hear something, like I said, come share it with me, or come share it with one of the people on the leadership, because I know we'd love to hear it. So, Lord, thank you for this church. I know, Lord, it is your church, and that you are the pastor of this church. And I also didn't get to share this, but Lord, there is a wealth of history, not only of this church, but of the churches in our denomination. Many of them are over 100 years old. And that is a lot of history. And I know that because we have things in the foyer, a few pictures out there of our church history, and goes all the way back to the 1800s, when this city was called Tigardville. And just to see the church that used to be at the base of Bull Mountain, where our church cemetery is, to moving to now to where it is now. It's just neat to see how you've been so faithful over the years to allow Trinity Community Church to continue to exist for such a time as this. Lord, may we understand that we are a part of something much bigger than we realize. And that there is people who have laid the groundwork, and there's people that put in countless hours and countless prayers and to build up your church so that it could be working and flourishing as it is today. And so, Lord, we just want to pause right now. And we want to join with you as a church. And we want to hear from you what you have for our church this year ahead and beyond. And so, Lord, if there's anything that you want to share with us, whether it be a word or a picture or just a Bible verse or just whatever it might be, God, that we could just be able to sense from you, or just a hunch or just a leaning. God, please just lay it upon our hearts to be able to know, or at least to be able to know maybe the role that we're supposed to play. Maybe it's a specific leadership position that you want us to step in and volunteer in, or maybe it's something that doesn't exist yet in our church, but that you're going to say this year ahead, I want you to be doing that. But help us each to be open to the ministries and the areas where you would want us to partner with you. And I'm just asking that we could see truly your miracles this year, that we could see your healing this year, that we could see your breakthrough this year, that we would see people coming to know you for the first time, that we would begin to even more so grow in all decades, that all decades would be present at our church, that our church would start to even more so reflect our community and the ethnic groups of our community, that our church would be a church where all socioeconomic statuses are present. Lord, that we could really be a church that is for this community. And I'm just asking, God, that you would show us what that looks like this year ahead. So, Lord, if there's anything that you want to speak to our hearts, we want to hear from you. And I just ask, Lord, even if it's through a dream or whether it's in the days ahead as we're just sitting at home and the thought comes to us, or whether it's right now, that you reveal to us that may we be willing to take a step of faith and share it with somebody else and see what you do with it. And that it would all be for your glory. I pray this in Jesus' name. And all God's people said, Amen. Well, thank you so much for taking a little bit of extra time to be here today. I know that tummies are probably starting to rumble and all of that, but I really appreciate everyone being here. And like I said, if you have any other questions, please don't ever hesitate to come and talk to me or Bruce or any of the other leaders here at the church. But that concludes our all-church meeting